Hello everyone, this is Heather, and today I'm here with a mixed media tag video for you. I wanted to create some Christmas tags, and this was actually a request I got from a viewer, which is awesome. I love getting requests, and especially when they're things that I love to do. So mixed media tags are one of my favorite things in general, and especially for Christmas. So I'm glad I got the request because I hadn't really been planning to make any Christmas tags, but this inspired me to do it. So right now I'm just putting some gesso onto the blank tags, and I got these tags from Staples, which is a store in Canada. I'm not sure if it's Canadian or not, but that's where I got them. And the box of shipping tags, which is size 5, there's 100 in the box, and I paid about, well, less than $5 for it. So that's a pretty awesome deal, I think. So now I'm getting my chatter is getting too much. You saw me mist that red color, which is a Lindy Stamp Gang color called Rhododendron Red Rose. I don't know if I'm saying that right. And then I just used a Crafter's Workshop mini brick stencil, and I misted that using a Lindy Stamp Gang color called Jolly Roger Red. And it created a really nice background look, I think. And now what I'm doing is using these die cuts that are from Michaels. I believe they're the Recollections brand, and there's some foil ones, silver and gold foil, as well as gold sparkly ones, and they're just really fun snowflake and deer patterns, and I'm loving deer this season. I should also mention my tags are highly inspired by Wilna Furstenberg. She did a video like this a couple weeks ago, and she mass produced a bunch of tags the same way I'm doing them, and I believe she actually used these exact same die cuts, which is kind of cool. I did buy them before I saw her video, but when I saw her video I was even more inspired to use them, and I'm using them in my December daily as well. So I'm just putting some Mod Podge on the back of each die cut, and you could use hot glue. I just felt that I wanted to make sure those little antler intricate pieces got glued down pretty well because I'm planning to layer on top of them again. And I wasn't being very careful with the Mod Podge. You can see a lot of the foil ones have smears on top of it from the Mod Podge, but that doesn't bother me because I know I'm putting more layers on top anyways. So now that I've got those all adhered, I went ahead and die cut a bunch of those film strips that you can see, as well as some tickets. And these are both Tim Holtz dies. The ticket strip is called the ticket strip, and the other one is film strip frames. And now I'm just using a Tim Holtz stamp to stamp on top of those ticket strip die, and he has a few different ticket stamps that you could use. Some are even Christmas themed, but this is the only one I have. Now I'm just adding some Basics Liquitex acrylic paint, and this is in the color Unbleached Titanium. I just wanted to have a more vintage look, otherwise I would have gone with just white. That would look nice too, but this just kind of grunges it up a bit, I think. So I'm pretty much covering the entire die cut, as you can see, and I'm adding some to the background as well, just kind of making those die cuts head to the background. And now I'm just using my hot glue gun to glue on all of those film strips. Whoa, my phone is just going crazy. I don't know if you heard that. And this was a nice, simple thing to do, so I really need to get more into my hot glue gun. People always rave how easy and cheap it is to use, and mine is quite old and all grungy looking, so I'm not very prone to use it, but I think I will have to start doing it more because it just works really well on all these layers. The paint wasn't even quite dry yet, and it still adhered really well on top of everything. These 12 tags, because I'm mass producing them, I think it went a lot faster. I spent probably about an hour on all 12 tags, plus maybe a little bit of drying time in between steps, but it really was a quick process, so I highly recommend mass producing if you're interested in something like that and you need to get a bunch done. Now I'm just using my vintage photo ink and inking up the edges of those tickets. And I did this while they were still in strips because it was a bit faster rather than inking each individual ticket. But I still inked along the connected edges by just folding it and inking both sides. So I'm just tearing those apart, and I'm going to add those on top as well using my hot glue gun. And I'm sort of, like Wilna says, just randomly placing them on each one, having a lot of fun with this, just being messy and just it's so fun. I highly recommend just plopping stuff together because it really comes together quick, and I was quite happy with the result. Each tag is a little bit different, so even though they are mass produced, they're obviously still unique and handmade, which I love, and I think the people that I give them to will also love that quality. And I'm just taking more of that same unbleached titanium acrylic paint and dry brushing it on because I thought those film strips were a little bit too stark black and wanted them to blend in a bit more. If you don't have, I chose to use die cuts because I didn't have 12 of any one embellishment, but you really could use a lot of different things like Wilna did in her video. She had sort of a collection of die cuts all from the same collection, but it still looked cohesive and they looked really nice. Now what I'm doing is using some of the Art Extravagance texture paste, and this is in the white crackle color. I'm loving this paste. It's very similar to just plain modeling paste, but it has a really nice crackle texture when it dries. And the stencil that I'm using that with is a Prima stencil, and as you can see it's wood grain. I can't find a name on the stencil of what it's called, but it's a nice one anyways. You could use any stencils really for this technique. You may see I'm using a plastic fork instead of a what are those called? The spatula things. Because I don't have one of those spatula things. So that's a nice substitution if you don't have one of those. Now what you see is me stamping this gear stamp just randomly over some background pieces. I'm showing you I got a bit of modeling paste on my ink pad because I didn't wait for it to dry, so the stamp transferred it over. Now I'm spraying it again with that same Lindy Stamp Gang red color that I can't say, and I'm splattering it with the Jolly Roger red, just flicking it and getting some nice splats. And then you'll see me using the Tattered Leather, which is a much darker brown, and that's a Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist one. Here we go. And just splatting that as well, just for some more interesting effects as well. Layers and layers. I really love layering mixed media things, and I think it gives it a unique quality. So here you can see I'm adding one of the final touches, which is the Tim Holtz game pieces, and this is something that I have a lot of, so it worked out well. I've pretty much used all the lower numbers in past December dailies, and I didn't want to use them in my December daily this year because I'm trying to make it a bit thinner than usual, and these are very thick pieces. So I just selected a bunch of random numbers, and I'm sure people will be confused about the symbology, is that a word? Symbolism behind this, but I just like random things, so I guess they'll just have to wonder about it. Now you can see I'm using some Prima Sayadin Crystal swirls, and these I've had in my stash for a long time, so I'm quite pleased that I managed to use them all up. There was only 8 pieces in this pack, but I ended up cutting a few of them so that there was only partial swirls, which actually looks really good, I think. The bigger pieces were a bit, not too much, but the smaller ones are a nice little accent as well. So I'm just placing those on every tag. And like I said with those crystals, I was pleased to use some of my stash in this. The dies, the film strip and the tickets are ones that I haven't used for a while, so that was fun, as well as those game pieces. I still have a bunch, but it's fun to use stuff that you already have, in my opinion anyway. So this, I'm just going to add the final touch, which is a little tag. I got these tags from Michael's in just the dollar bins, and they already have some baker's twine attached, but I'm adding red baker's twine as well. So I'm just going to add those at the top of each tag, as you can see here. I didn't have quite enough to put one on every tag, so some tags just have red baker's twine, which I think is no problem at all. So you'll see me doing that. I'm going to add some pictures at the end here, and if you're interested in seeing more detailed photos, please check out my blog. Don't forget that I am also